If you've watched this entire beginner's Webull playlist from the beginning to end, first of all, that's an amazing job. If you haven't, it is linked in the description box and pinned in the comment section. If you've already watched it and this is the last video, you've already learned more than most beginners do before placing their first options trade. You certainly learned more than I did. So before you open Webull and you press buy, I want to leave you with a whole entire checklist, because understanding a concept of trading and being ready to use it is not the exact same thing. So today's goal is very simple. We're going to go through the final checklist together. You can confidently explain every item on this board. You've built a very strong beginner foundation if you can explain everything that's on this board. And if one of these feels still confusing, you don't have to worry. You can literally just go back and rewatch that lesson before risking real money, because every single one of these has its own short lesson in this playlist. Again, it is linked in the description box as well as pinned in the comment section. Number 1, calls and puts. Can you explain the difference between a call and a put without looking it up? If not, make sure to go back to lesson number 1 and we talk about that in detail. Second thing, your options chain. Can you find a contract on the options chain, and do you understand what you're looking at? Like specifically, can you read the options chain and know what you're looking at and understand it fully? If not, make sure to go watch the how to read an options chain video, and we talk about that in depth. Number 3, in the money, at the money, out of the money. Can you explain what those 3 things mean? And can you identify them on an options chain? Can you quickly just point to it in the money, point to it at the money, point to it out of the money? Can you do that for calls and for puts? If not, make sure to go back and just review that. And through that lesson, you should be able to do that fully. Then, buying an option. Do you know how to place a trade on Webull for calls and for puts? Can you find the correct button without guessing? If I say, hey, just go do it without guessing or stopping, can you just click the correct buttons and go ahead and do that? Let's say you see the most amazing trade and you want to go take it. Are you able to just do that without thinking about it? If so, great. If not, make sure to go back and watch that lesson on how to buy. Next is selling an option. Do you know how to close or sell a position? Remember, buying is going to start the trade. Selling the trade is what finishes the trade. Next is market versus limit. Do you know the difference between a market and a limit? Can you explain when each one is used and what they're really for? Next is buy to open, sell to close. Can you explain why these buttons exist? And can you tell the difference between opening a trade and closing one? Watching that buy to open, sell to close video in this playlist is going to be so helpful for being able to do that and actually lock in profit or to cut your losses properly as a beginner. Next, why your orders aren't filling. If your order sits there, if you try to place a trade and it just sits there and it's not open, it's just potentially open, it's just sitting there, do you know what to check first? Do you remember the 5 reasons I explained why orders don't fill? Because remember, sometimes nothing is wrong. Sometimes the order is simply waiting for a match. And I show you 5 different ways that you can find the reason and exactly how to fix them as well. The next thing is position sizing. Can you explain why buying more contracts also increases your risk? Remember that learning comes before scaling so that you can prioritize your consistency over your risk. And then your trading plan. This might be the most important of all, because before you press buy, can you explain these 4 questions? Why are you entering? Where will you take profit? I'm going to write these out for you. Why am I entering? Where will I take profit? Where will I exit if I'm wrong? I really beg to differ. This one might actually be the most important. I might need some more space though. These all need question marks. BTW. And then the last question is, what is my reason? What is my reason for my trade? So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can you answer these 4 questions? That is essentially what a trading plan is. A trading plan is not some boxes that you check. It is really not even about fundamental analysis or technical analysis specifically. It's about those 4 questions. Why are you entering? Where will it take profit? Where will you exit if it's wrong? And what is your reason for the trade? If you can't answer those, then you're probably not ready to place that specific trade yet. So notice something. None of the questions I gave you answer, will this trade win? Will this trade be profitable? Because nobody knows that. The goal is not to predict the future. Nobody can predict the future at all. The goal is to understand what you're doing, what exactly you're doing before you risk your money. Because whether you like it or not, once you open that trade, the money has been risked. So you want to make sure you know the answer to those questions before you put your money on the line. That is what this playlist was literally built, step by step, brick by brick, in order to teach. Every single box here, if each of these boxes makes sense to you, then guess what? Congratulations, you've built a very strong beginner foundation. If one of these feels confusing to you, that's completely okay. Learning options is literally a process. The good news is that you already know which lesson to go back and which one to review, and they're all in order. So make sure you're watching the playlist in order, because what we're doing is we're building this confidence through knowledge, and that is going to lead to our execution over time, being able to execute well. So if this playlist helped you understand options, make sure to save it and send it to your trading friend if you want to, so y'all can study together, or you can just come back to it whenever you need a refresher for any one of these. And if you want to keep learning, my channel has so many more beginner-friendly tutorials and playlists that are built so that it breaks down options trading one concept at a time using very simple language and real examples. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. If you haven't watched this playlist, it is linked in the description box as well as pinned in the comment section, and make sure that you're watching it in order.